Welcome everyone to this episode of Black Sisters Birth Academy's Inside Birth podcast, and I'm your host, midwife Christina Jermaine. The purpose of this podcast is to provide an intentional platform and community for the aspiring Black midwife who is looking to navigate her path to becoming a community midwife. There is a difference. Our interviews are aimed to provide practical tools and knowledge for aspiring Black midwives who want an inside look on the ins and outs of community midwifery based on what Black community midwives have experienced. We also want to spotlight and promote community midwives that are making a massive impact in their communities, as well as foster ideas on how you too can become a woman of impact in birth work in the process. Now, today's episode, we have a very special guest with us, and her name is Tia Leverett, and I am going to read her bio at this time. Tia is a licensed midwife and a certified professional midwife, raised and practicing in Palm Beach County, Florida. At a young age, Tia knew her career would involve caring for expectant mothers and babies. She always held a strong belief that pregnancy and birth are normal life events. Working with mothers and their families from early pregnancy through postpartum has confirmed for her that the childbearing journey is a spiritual, physical, emotional, and empowering experience. Tia attended and graduated from the Florida School of Traditional Midwifery in 2018, and Tia believes it is a privilege to be trusted to provide care as a midwife. When not practicing midwifery, Tia can be found spending time with family, friends, at church, and traveling. All right. So with that said, at this time, please help me, everyone, give Tia a very warm welcome to Inside Birth Podcast. Let's clap it up.
I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, welcome, Tia. Thank you so much for agreeing to be a guest with us here at Inside Birth. So with that said, let us jump right into today's interview. All right.
Okay.
All right, ready. So the first question I have here is, what called you into midwifery? So feel free to give your most authentic answers. We love real talk here. All right.
I feel like you touched on it a little bit in my bio. I for sure think that it's a calling. I don't think midwifery is something that anyone could just be like, oh, I think I want to do this. I have been attracted and finding birth since I was very young. In fact, my little sister, we are 8 years apart. So I was 8 years old when she was born. And my other sisters, who are 2 years older than me, they wanted nothing to do with it. But I was at the hospital with my mom. I wanted to be in the room. I wanted to know what was happening. I was just like, not even just about the baby. I wanted to see the baby come out, which they did not let me see. But I just knew that I was always, I was attracted to birth. I would come home from school and watch anything on TLC, a baby story, birthday. Like I was watching all the things. So I for sure feel like it was a calling. When I was in school, I always said that I wanted to be an obstetrician. But obviously life happens and you got to go to medical school and all the things. And I remember as soon as I got to college, my older sister was pregnant with my niece and I went to that birth. Like I was going to all the births, but the doctor was late. And so the nurse actually ended up catching the baby. And so I was like, so if they can do that, then maybe I should do that. But obviously I was in college at the time. I was pursuing something completely different. And I kind of got off track in that sense, but I always felt that calling. Like I was always, I would see pregnant bellies, pregnant women, and just start asking questions like how far along, all the things. Anyway, I was at work one day and the calling just never goes away. And so I was just started doing my research, trying to figure out what path. And so I feel like it was just me returning to something that I've always been passionate about. And so that just kind of like set the catalyst for where all things fell into place and we're here. And I definitely feel like it was a calling. Like this is something that I've been involved in since I was very young. And so just doing this work just actually makes me feel like I am fulfilling my purpose in this world in whatever way that I can give back, contribute, to, the birthing community. So
I
yeah.
love that. I really do love you sharing just the mere fact that it was just keep calling you, you know?
It's a
And
calling for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, I think that that's so real and it just won't stop until you acknowledge it and like see it through kind of way. So I really love you sharing that part of your journey. So the next question I have is, what route did you take? It's like a three-part question. So what
Okay.
route did you take to become a midwife? Why did you choose that route? And if you could change one thing about that route, what would it be? What would it?
Okay, so if I don't answer some of the questions, let me
It's
know.
all good. It's
But
all good.
so I chose the direct entry into midwifery route, and that I just so when I did my research, as I talked about in the first part of the question, I was looking up how to become a midwife. I was looking up how much midwives made, where did they practice. And so in doing that, my initial thought process was that all the midwives worked in a hospital. Like obviously I knew, community midwifery just a little bit back in the day, but I didn't really know that was a thing now. So like the people that don't know that that's a thing, like I understand because that was me. But I did a lot of research and I ended up finding the Florida School of Traditional Midwifery, reading about home births, water births, and I was just like, yeah, I think this is a route that I want to do. So with that program, it was a 3-year program, and at the same time that we were in school in Gainesville, I was also precepting at a birth center down south. So at the same time, I was doing like, book work and then hands-on work. And I honestly think that happened because it was in Florida. It was somewhere that like my credits from like, I think we needed like the math, like the initial part of your
The
college education.
prereqs.
Like they,
Mhm.
yeah, the prereqs. They took that. It was just like, okay, I think that I want to do this. And I attended the information session. And I basically at that point had just learned all about it in that moment. So it was a lot of research. I watched a lot of videos, like all the things that went into it. So that's why I chose that route. In Florida, the other way to be a midwife is a CNM. And with that, you have to go to nursing school. And then at that point, after you become a nurse, then there's another program that you have to do. And I just felt at that time, and I actually still do feel that way, that this was the route for me. So I think that was the first part. What was the second part of the question?
Yeah, and if you can choose, I mean, if you can change one thing about that route, what would it be?
That was the
Like the
third
route
part.
you
Did
took.
I answer the second part?
Yeah, you answered which route you took, the direct
Okay.
entry. Yeah, and then
So
also, yeah, like if you could change one thing about it. I mean, you could probably say nothing, but if you could change one thing about it,
no,
what would it be?
it definitely has its pros and cons. I also discussed this with other midwives in the community. So I don't regret going directly into midwifery because there are some things that they just don't learn in the CNM. Like I'm comfortable with out of hospital birth. Like I precepted with midwives who have been doing this 30, 40 plus years. So things that you see are it's normal. Like I learned that. However, I'm not gonna not deny the fact that there are some things that CNMs do get, like it's more nursing, like they start with the nursing. So you do your entire nursing career first. So those skills that maybe we aren't doing as much outside of the hospital, those are vital. So I do believe that both are great. I don't regret the decision that I made. Now, eventually I may end up going back to school for that route to just kind of keep going, but like the route that I chose was right for me. And so I don't regret that. I think that I would just only thing that I would change is not necessarily changes what I'm doing now. Like I would just continue going. I will also get that nursing experience and CNM route. But home birth, out of hospital birth, natural birth, community birth, that is home to me. It's so special and sacred for so many reasons. Like just briefly, some things I can think off my head, like just reducing C-section rates and just, the calmness, the education that's involved, the longer prenatal appointments, like that is something that they are not doing the other way. Like obviously there are some CNMs doing this work because they trained with other out of hospital birth midwives, but it's very few of them. So the majority of them do kind of work under doctors and they kind of do the same thing. Whereas our approach to birth and labor and pregnancy is very different. And that's more so where I align.
So then our next question is, how was your experience once you became a midwife and started your practice?
So when I became licensed after I graduated, I initially worked at the birth center that I was a student, and it was great because there was a community of midwives. The only difference is that it was a bit further from where I live, so I knew that my time there wasn't going to be as long because I was like an hour commute. So imagine getting phone calls in the middle of the night, having to go to births. It was a lot. So I eventually started my own practice, and I was excited because when I was a student, it was a lot. The phone calls, 2, 3 a.m., like always on call, not really having a schedule. The other midwives would tell me, like, once you graduated, it's going to become easier. And they were 100% correct. So once I did become licensed and started making my own schedule and knew that I wanted to start accepting some clients, things did get easier because you can kind of choose how you want to work, the amount of clients you want to take, that kind of thing. So when I did start doing that, the next question became, oh, so we're really like out here on our own. We're like trying to find other midwives to attend a birth or a birth assistant, like all the things. And so it made me realize how much I missed the community and what we did not have. So I believe it's a little bit easier for CNMs because they're in a hospital with a huge team of people, NICU, respiratory, all the things. Other CNMs, they work under doctors. With us, it's just us. So I feel like that was like my biggest adjustment to just like finding all the things, sending ultrasounds. Where am I going to send all the people? So we're not inventing the wheel, but we are, especially in a place where I am in Palm Beach. There's not many licensed midwives here. So I just had to figure a lot out on my own. So I feel like that was like the biggest hurdle that I've encountered. Like if we had more midwives, I feel like we would be doing a thing down here, but there's so very few of us. So you and I talk a lot. I talk to other girls from my class, and that has been like the saving grace. I remember in school them telling us like these are going to be your peers, these are going to be who you call, and that is 100% correct because there's not many of us out here. So
Yeah.
that's
And
been
we
my
need
experience.
more. So if you are called,
Or
step up, okay? Step up. So the next question is, would you honestly recommend someone becoming a midwife?
um I would recommend them becoming a midwife if this is truly what they want to do, because it's not easy from even starting from school. Like I was one of the persons that I put all my eggs in one basket. It's not okay, I put two, and if this fails, then I'll go this route. Like, no, I knew I wanted to do this. So like any hurdle that came, we were just going to jump over it. So if that's something you're passionate about, then I 100% recommend it. I do recommend taking the time to research the different routes because all the things that I just said in the previous question. So becoming a CNM is a little bit different. You become a nurse first, and then you go on to get the higher level degree, and then you work in a hospital. Some do work outside of the hospital, as I mentioned. But us, it is a different route. So there are things that you take into consideration, like entrepreneurship. Are you good in business? How are you going to handle finances? If they're great that month, or if they're not that great, are you going to work with other midwives? There's just a lot to consider. So if you are passionate about it, I recommend it. If not, maybe do something that's a little bit more structured because it can definitely be trying at times.
I agree. I agree. If you're called to do it, like you said, you'll jump over the hurdles, and you have one. You just have the one egg in the one basket. It's not like I'm gonna take it and put it all over the place. So I agree. I agree. So the next question we have is, what would you tell your 5-year-old self about following your dreams?
Oh my gosh. Like, I don't know. I feel like this question is a little bit like if it was those people that they switched, like I legit knew that I was going to do this. So I would just say continue on. Maybe I would do more like at 5 years old, you just know I want to deliver babies. Like I'm telling you, when I would be at church, I still have like this fantasy, this dream of like being on an airplane and someone says, I'm having a baby. Does anybody know how to deliver a baby? Or at church and they're like, oh, her water just broke. Like, call me. That was me. Like, I always knew that. So at 5 years old, I would just say, continue going, like, research all the ways. I think that's my biggest kicker. Like, research all the ways. I don't regret my route. I think I just probably would have kept going immediately after school, but just follow your dreams and your passion. At 5 years old, you're not too young to know what you want to do because that was me at 8. So I could say maybe 5, but for sure at 8 years old, I knew that I was going to be doing this. So it
Yeah.
literally feels like I am living my dream. Obviously some things could be better as in any career, but like I know that I was meant to help women in their childbearing years. So that's what I'm doing.
Awesome. I'm glad that you could told her to continue on. You know what I mean? Like just keep on living
Mhm.
your dreams. So that's awesome. Awesome. So now this segment of the podcast is called The One. It's a lightning round of questions with the
Uh-oh.
word one in it. And you have 1 minute to answer it. So you good? We got
Okay.
this? All right,
All
cool,
right.
cool, cool. All right. So the first question is, what is one misconception you have encountered that people have said about midwives or midwifery?
One thing. I think if I'm gonna say one thing, it would be that they know what they're doing. They're around. We're not some old, in a backyard thing that happened before. Like we're educated, we are qualified. Even really quickly, we were in midwifery school and we had to do research projects, and mine was actually about the negative connotations associated with midwifery. And this question just reminded me of that. And so I did like research on that, like where did it start from? And it just really went back to when Western medicine was introduced, and then they just kind of deemed midwifery as bad. And I feel like a lot of people still hold on to that. But no, we're still here, we're educated, we're qualified. In fact, other countries use midwives as mainstream providers at birth. They only see obstetricians when something happens or surgery is needed or anything that requires a higher level of care. But we're here. And so don't be afraid. Don't just say, oh, I'm going to go this route, because you seek us for other information. So don't just automatically want this information and then go to, a different provider. Like, we're here. We can take care of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Next question is, what is one tip that you have learned about entrepreneurship?
Um, Not to reinvent the wheel. Like, so they have been doing this out here. So I feel like you have to ask to find out more of the information that you need. So if you, for in our case, like, where are you sending those for ultrasounds? Like, what providers are you using if they need to, see maternal fetal medicine? Like, all the things, like, just ask. You don't have to, figure everything out on your own. Like, we don't know everything. So just ask the people who are doing it.
Yeah, I love that. And you know what I've noticed? I know it's a lightning round, but I've noticed that for the most part, when I have reached out to my community, they've been responsive. So I've never, for the most part, felt like I didn't get like feedback of like, where do you send your ultrasounds or who to go to here? I felt like for the most part, whoever I did reach out to, they were more than willing to give the information. So for me personally, I don't know, everybody else's experience might be different. I thought that was really great.
Girl, I call you
And
all the time. What do you mean? We
Oh
just
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm glad that we can have those kind of dialogues, and it's not like a thing of like super crickets. You know what I'm saying? But like
right.
we said, we would love to have people in more closer proximity because that's the work that we do. We do out of hospital births, and so
Mhm.
it would be nice to actually have somebody who's like 5 minutes away, or like the days of old where people literally had a midwife every other house kind of way. You know what I
Right,
mean? So
exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
come back. So, anyways, next question is, what is one tip you have learned about self care as a midwife?
That is a non-negotiable. Do
Mm.
not forego that. Do not think that, you are so excited to do this work that you are not taking care of yourself. Briefly, I talked about when I was a student, like, I don't know, there's so many stories about students like not having a life because you're literally in school, you're trying to get your numbers. But then that's where the anxiety, I think, starts coming in, where you don't know when that phone's gonna ring. You don't know, do I need to go to sleep? Can I go to this event? Like, that's real life, even as a provider. But what I've learned is that while practicing, that's the beauty of how accept, knowing how many clients you're going to accept that month, not going over your limit, knowing when, like, a certain month I don't have any clients due because that is my month to travel to see my family. Like, it's non-negotiable because there's a high level of burnout within midwifery. I don't want to say the number because I don't know if that's still the exact number of years that midwives experience burnout, but all I know is that I'm trying to avoid that. And so, in order for me to avoid that, I need a schedule. I need time away. I need just to spend time with my friends, go on vacation. I love to travel, so I can't neglect the things that I love apart to do midwifery because it's not gonna last. You have to there. I don't want to say a balance, but strive to just do the things that make you happy outside of midwifery. Like, don't just make your whole life midwifery because you're gonna burn
Yeah. Yeah, we're multidimensional, so
out.
absolutely. What is one tip you've learned about relationships since becoming a midwife?
I feel like anybody that's in your life, whether platonic, romantic, professional, it is important that they support and they know what you're doing. That way, if you do have to miss an event, they know, like, I have to go to this birth. Like, or like just so that they know up front that there's a possibility that you're not around, or you're driving home from a late night birth. I may need to pick up the phone because I'm tired driving in my car. Like plenty of times I've done that. I remember driving just to school, and that commute was 4 hours. So I was on the phone with friends with my AirPods. I was responsible. Um, you just need that support. So I would just say relationships, they need to support you in what you're doing, and you got to communicate, what you need, and tell them like how they can support you. And hopefully if these are people in your life that love you and want to see you do well, like that's not, a bad thing. I will say to the new students that are coming in, another thing is like it's not cheap. Thankfully, my parents, supported me and helped me pay to take my exam. And become that initial license and malpractice, like those are all things. So financial support is also a big thing.
Yeah.
Just make sure you have like those things kind of set. Like you need the support, like because you may not be initially working as much. So it's just kind of like figuring out a schedule that works for you, figuring out finances, like communicating, emotional support, like all the things. I know that was a lot, but
That's
I
good. It's so needed. Support is needed. So you're just covering different facets of what support can look like for what we do as midwives. The next question that I have is, what is one revolutionary thing you would love to see us as a people do to move us forward in having healthier birth outcomes?
Education. Oh
Mm.
my goodness. That's something I'm super proud of, which is why I am launching my childbirth education class online soon so that I'm able to help more people than just my clients here, and anybody can take the course. But education is so important in midwifery, birth, any aspect of labor, pregnancy, because a lot of people don't know. You just kind of hear horror stories from other people, and they don't know what's normal, what's not normal. They don't know what cascades of interventions are. They just hear, oh my gosh, labor is painful. Give me the epidural, give me the baby. Or you get someone that says, oh, the doctor just came in and I got a C-section and they saved my life. And you're like, well, what happened? What required? And they're just like, I don't know. Like they don't know anything. And I think that's what frightens me the most, and is a part of the reason why I love educating on childbirth, because when you know better, you do better. And when you plan for anything, it makes the outcome better, even if it's not what you expected, just knowing all the things, knowing that no one isn't pulling anything over your head. So I just wish that we can have more education. So that looks like more doulas, paying for more doulas that can help out and fill in the gap between provider and client. Resources for clients to take those childbirth education classes, lactation classes, like having access to a the word is slipping my mind, the lactation consultant after birth, like all the things. Like education is going to help you to be successful in childbirth, postpartum, and all the things. So it just helps you not go in blind and not know anything.
Yeah. And be a part of the scene. You know what I mean? Like live
Mhm.
it, go with somebody. So
And
education is
advocate. That is like also so big to me. Like if you know something doesn't feel right in your body, if you feel like you're not being listened to, like people don't know how to speak up. And so that's why I like to teach that you have a voice for a reason. Use it.
use it. Absolutely. Absolutely. So what is one word you would like, or one message you would like to leave with our listeners that carried you through your hardest times in life? Like what is one?
I would say you have to be resilient in
Mm,
whatever that looks like. If you're a midwifery student in continuing your courses, getting your numbers, if you are in like practicing as a midwife, like things are not always going to be great, but if it's something you want to do, we figure out how to keep going on those days that you're like tired, figure out the one thing. I may not be able to do all of this today, but what can I do? I'm
mhm,
currently writing my childbirth education course. It's done. I'm in the filming process. And so like some days I'm like hyped, I have to get this done. And some days I feel so overwhelmed because I have to edit it, I have to film it, I have to do all the things. But I know that this is going to be beneficial to the clients that need it. And I feel like that's a part of my purpose to do it. So I'm going to be
yeah.
resilient. I'm going to keep going until it's done and launched and online. And I'm able to help even more people that are just, not only those in my community.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome. I'm sure that we're all looking forward to it. Well, I am. So that's what's important. Okay. And then the last question is name one way our listeners can support you to further your cause in this work, either business support, fundraisers, charities, organizations, whatever. What's one way we
Like
can
I
support?
just said, look out for the childbirth education course. If you know anyone that's expecting, we do try to do it typically in the last trimester. So even if you send it to someone that's like newly pregnant, say, hey, save this, so you can support me in that way. If you are in Palm Beach County, feel free to look me up at mymidwifetia.com. I do offer placenta encapsulation services. I do private childbirth education courses. I'm launching the online one and also midwifery services. So just find me. You can find me also on social media. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, all of those things. So that's how you can support me. Hit the follow, share, send it to somebody. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. So, and then you said you're on Facebook as well too, right? All the
Yes,
social media
Facebook,
platforms?
all the
Okay.
socials, even TikTok too, child.
Okay.
I haven't posted as much on TikTok, but I am there. But you can find me for sure on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and my website is also mymidwifetia.com, but also on all the socials, it's
Oh,
at mymidwifetia.
all right, good. So that with that said, thank you, Tia. That's a wrap for this episode of Inside Birth Podcast. I want to thank you, Tia, for being a guest for today's episode. I say appreciate love. So I appreciate love you for doing this with me. And for our listeners out there, you can catch us on Spotify and YouTube the second Tuesday of every month at 11 a.m. Eastern Time for our next episode with another community midwife. And if you enjoy the educational content that we provide here at Black Sisters Birth Academy and Inside Birth Podcast, feel free, like Tia said with hers, give us a like, share, and subscribe, and press the notification bells wherever they may be to get notified when our next episode arrives. And as we say here at Black Sisters Birth Academy, remember that birth is what we do. Until next time, everyone, have a wonderful rest of your day. Blessings and bye-bye.
Bye. Wait, first of all, I just want to tell you thank you for having me. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for all of your hard work. It does not go unnoticed, girl. You put the work into all those from your trainings to this podcast online, girl. You are doing the things. I just want to give you your
Uh,
flowers.
and I same to you, Tia. Like honestly, she's my girl. So if you guys see me on any information or videos, it's I give thanks for the most high blessing Tia having Tia in my life. And so I'm totally grateful. And I'm always cheering for her to have abundant success in all that she puts her hands to do. So I'm just praying that God continues to anoint her in the work that she's called to do and know and trust that he's making a way for you. Just continue to step, continue to be resilient, and continue to press on through. So with that said, thank you, Tia, so much. I truly, like I said, appreciate love you. And with that said, like what can we do? We just got to share the love when it comes. So
Mhm.
until then, everyone, have a wonderful rest of your day and bye bye.
Bye.